Welcome to the Dominate Your Niche podcast with me, Ruth Ferreira. Here we chat to some of today's best small business leaders, individuals who are shaking up their industry and dominating their niche. The show tackles all things business growth, from strategy, marketing and branding, and delves into the secrets of what it takes to dominate your niche. The aim of this podcast is to empower founders with big dreams, small and micro businesses, and even solopreneurs who are looking to make a big impact. People who are hungry to learn from those who have gone before them and implement that knowledge to next level in their own business. So welcome, lean in, and then go take action to propel yourself towards dominating your niche in your small business. Welcome to the latest episode of the Dominate Your Niche podcast with me, Ruth Ferreira. I'm excited to introduce you to Olivia Morocco, founder of Brand You magazine. In just 3 years, Brand You magazine has risen as a leading authority in the female entrepreneurship media landscape, swiftly claiming the top spot as the premier female-led business publication in the UK. In May 24, Brand You's first flagship yearly in-person event, Showtime, was launched, a one-of-a-kind brand and PR coup bursting with opportunities. Key themes from our conversation include not overthinking and just going for it, growth via contributors, also known as leveraging other people's audiences, exploring new opportunities in a sustainable way, and growing to sell. A gorgeous conversation bursting with inspiration and golden nuggets. I can't wait for you to listen. Hi, Olivia. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Ruth. Hi. It's lovely to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's great to have you here. So, Olivia, I find your journey absolutely fascinating. You are and were and are a well-known and successful photographer who has pivoted into the magazine space. Yes. I would love to hear more about that journey and what inspired you to take the path that you've taken.
Okay, it's a great story, and I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible.
Let's go with a short version.
So yes, my previous career before Brand You magazine was as a photographer, corporate photographer, where I had an amazing 20 years of traveling the world, working for some of the biggest brands. And this is where the real passion was: photography and the events industry and travel. So I was in my elements. I was very, very happy with that. And then fast forward to about a year before COVID hit, before we even knew about COVID, I knew that I needed some kind of change. Maybe it's like I was reaching the end of that creative journey. I'm a creative.
Yeah. So I see that. I hear that.
But I had no idea what or how. I've been a photographer for 20 years. I didn't know what else I could do with my life, really. And then maybe 8 years ago, I moved back to the UK. So this is when I'm in France. I'm half French, half English.
Yeah.
And my photography career is happening in France.
Yeah, hence the gorgeous accent.
Hence the accent. And so 8 years ago, I decided to move back to the UK for personal reasons. And so for about 4 years, really, right up until COVID, my life consisted of me traveling back to France, do my photography season, and then come back to the UK in the winter. And this is where I discovered personal brand photography, which didn't really exist in France at the time. And I was like, oh, this is interesting.
They're quite funding personal branding shoots, aren't they?
Yeah, and because I also did weddings. So I did 20 years of corporate and 10 years of sort of high-end weddings. And it's mainly the wedding side that I was fed up with. And I needed
I can imagine.
An alternative. Corporate was great because it was good money and it was quite an exciting job. But the wedding side was a bit tough. And so I discovered personal brand photography, and I was like, oh, I'm really interested in this. So I opened a sort of a little side business here only in the UK, where I started dabbing into personal brand photography. That then led me to start networking locally to try and get some clients to come in. So I'm now into this new sort of English entrepreneur world. I'm networking, I'm photographing these people for their website and stuff like that. And then I meet a woman who's a brand designer, and we become friends. And this is where, so now we're about a year before COVID,
Okay.
and I approached her and I said, look, Tam, do you want to do something together? I'm a bit fed up of working on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of now developing into a brand photographer. You're a brand designer. Why don't we do something together? So there was no business plan in mind. It was just a case
Mm-hmm.
of two women getting together and
Love it.
yeah,
That's where a lot of the best things stem from.
come from. Yes. So what we did is we then decided to start a Facebook group, a free
Mm-hmm.
Facebook group that we called Brand You 2020. And what I did is I started to invite some of the sort of more established businesses that I was meeting in my networking, and I was interviewing them like we're doing now over
Love
Zoom.
it.
And it was
Okay.
called the Brand New Chat
So
Show.
you were using Zoom before the
Yeah,
pandemic.
yeah, it was quite new and
Wild.
quite
Yeah, no, I was using it, but nobody ever knew what I was talking about.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't as common as it is today for
Yeah,
sure. So every Monday I would diffuse an interview, and
love it.
we called it the Brand New Chat Show.
And
And
how did that chat show become a magazine? Because we're in a completely
yeah,
different format at the moment. How
yeah.
did that leap happen?
Well, I mean, you can see the conducting line, So
Mm-hmm.
I was interviewing these brands on the chat show, while Tam was sort of more managing the Facebook group and the
Mm-hmm.
community. And then COVID happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
COVID happened, and all hell broke loose, and everybody needed to pivot, to
Yeah.
rebrand, and
For you as a photographer, overnight, your shoots are
yeah,
cancelled.
completely
Income is gone.
gone. I
That
had
must
no,
be terrifying.
and yeah, and the first COVID, we had no idea if it was ever going to return back to some kind of
Yeah.
normality. So I was completely free. I had absolutely no job. And then so the Facebook group became quite popular, obviously.
Yeah.
And
No
then
one's
so
got
now,
anything to do.
yeah, and so we'd have Tam would have experts coming into the group, advising people on how to go online, how to go from one to many,
I
all
love
these
it.
things. And I would then concentrate on basically telling the story of all these amazing brands and what they were doing out there. So you can see where that led to what Brand You is all about. And then 6 months into, I can't remember exactly, 6, 7 months into the first COVID, obviously Tam had her own little business to try and survive. She was also married. She had 3 kids and 5 chickens and 3 dogs. And I was a
Love it.
free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas I started to see a business model developing in my mind, Tam
Mm-hmm.
just unfortunately couldn't give it the time he needed
Yeah, of course.
to develop it, which is fine. So she decided to leave. I said to her, can I keep the name Brand You?
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Strong
like,
name.
yeah. I think my first error at the time was to close the Facebook group,
Okay.
which I'd kept it, but I didn't, back then Facebook group were not as important in the business structure as it is today. And it wasn't creative enough for me. I needed a
Mm-hmm.
creative outlet. Yeah. Photography had been my creative outlet for 20
Mm-hmm.
years. And so I took a few months off. We're still in the first COVID era. And then I said, look, there's something there with the Brand You, with the experts
Mm-hmm.
coming in, sharing their expertise, sharing their story. So then I can't exactly remember how the magazine came into mind, but then I decided why not do a magazine?
Mm.
So then I started researching what was out there as far as business publications, and did quite a lot of research. And obviously, there's some great publications out there,
Yeah.
business-wise, but none that I felt represented me as a small business owner and
Love
me as
it.
a woman business owner.
Yes.
You
So
either,
does Brand You target women?
yes, we didn't start
Ah,
that way.
okay.
It is all about women, yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I've never seen a man on the cover. Or
Yes. Well, like I said, it was for men and women.
Mhm.
So what happened is then I launched the first edition. It was a digital free online. Obviously, people just had to sign up.
Mhm.
And that was, I guess, the beginning of a mailing list. But it was for men and women.
Mhm.
And then I said, okay, well, my mission now is I never designed a magazine. I've never even published a magazine. So
Mhm.
what I would do is I would ask all these people I would network with, hey, do you want to write an article? Let's showcase what you do and let's
Love it.
story. And so people would send me their content, and I'd put it into this online magazine. And my mission was, okay, being a designer, I knew that the design and look and feel wasn't quite right yet. So it's like, well, I'm going to give it the time it needs. And when I'm ready, I'll go to print when I feel the magazine has reached a certain
Mm,
standard. So
okay.
for about a year, it was free, and it was online, and I'd get better and my content would get better and my design
Mhm.
would get better and so on. And then maybe, I don't know, 9 months into it, I started looking at the stats of who were interacting with the magazine, and it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty much 99.99% women.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, well, that's a good indicator of, hey, who my audience is.
Yeah. And there's something so powerful. I was speaking on this last week of understanding your audience
Yeah.
and actually looking at who are your audience, who are you, well, in your case, your clients. Can I call them clients or
My readers.
your readers? Yes.
Yeah. At the time, they were not clients because it was free, but they were my audience, my readers.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that was the first time I wouldn't call it a full rebrand, but a little brand shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Little pivot.
yeah, a little pivot. I pivoted so many times in my career now.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. So, and then I sort of, declared that, okay, I'm going to create this magazine, and this is going to be to highlight and showcase women and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
And when you first put it out for free, no,
yeah,
sorry, not for free, but paid the first
yeah,
time,
yeah.
how did
So,
that feel?
oh,
What was going on
amazing.
in your head? Were you terrified or were you excited?
Oh gosh, it was. And I remember the feeling of the first person who subscribed. That first message I got, ding, somebody
Oh my
subscribed.
God.
And that
Yes.
person is still, on the number one list of all my subscribers. So she's
Oh,
been with me for
gorgeous.
3 years now. And I remember that feeling, oh my God, okay, this is great. And then after that, you just have to build the brand awareness. And
Yeah. So what's been the key to build that brand awareness? How have you done that?
word of mouth through the contributors. So
Okay.
I had no budget for advertising
Mm-hmm.
in any way, shape, or form. So the way I grew through social media was to utilize all the contributors that would come into the magazine. They
Get
would
them
share
to share.
within their
Perfect.
own
That's
community.
amazing.
And that's how we grew. Basically, that's how we grew. And then as the magazine started to grow as well, I started to look at, okay, well, I need to get some bigger names into my magazine without going crazy that the bigger names are unreachable type of brands. I really wanted Brand New to remain
Mm,
reachable.
yeah.
Um,
Real people running
Real
businesses.
people, not, opera on the cover, multi-billionaire. I mean, these are just not representative of what we
Mm-hmm.
go through.
Yeah, I hear that.
But I wanted to reach certain women who were just slightly ahead of the game and who could come back and share their experience.
Who's been your favorite cover so far?
Oh, do you
Can
know
you
what?
tell me that?
I don't have a favorite, but I'll have to say one thing is the opportunity to have a 1 hour with these women and interviewing them
Yes.
has been utterly like eye-opening because they all have, I mean, I tried to invite women on my cover who have a unique kind of stories, and they each have their own talent and their own way of and their own journey to tell as well. And so one thing I have, that they do have sometimes in common is, a lot of them do come from a space of trauma and have built an
Mm,
enormous amount of resistance and resilience that has led
yeah.
them
And
to,
they're willing to tell that story.
and they're willing to tell that story. So they've been so varied. I've had TV celebrities, I've had women who've reached multi-million revenue, but who's still human. And
Love it.
I don't think I had, you know what? Every cover for me is my favorite because,
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm
but
like that with my podcast, by the way.
yeah, yeah,
This is
it's
my new favorite amongst all my other favorites.
yeah, exactly. I'll be the favorite for this month. But I think just where I feel really lucky is how much I learn from these women. I mean, I'm hoping my readers will learn the same way as we tell their story in the magazine. But having access to these women and to be able to dig into their brains of how they've done it and why and what's their mission, what's their drive, and what troubles they've come to get to that.
Really inspiring.
Very, very inspiring. And I'm hoping that this is what's conveyed after that in the article and what the readers are getting from these amazing women. But yeah, so
Amazing.
I don't have a favorite. It's like the child.
Okay.
You
I
can't
have a
have a
favorite
favorite.
child.
How do
Probably
you?
not the one people would think.
Yeah.
I didn't say that publicly, by the way.
No, we'll
Okay.
edit that bit out.
She's never going to listen to this. If you're looking to grow your business, I have something that may change your life. The Success Method course is for small business owners who would like to take their business and their profits to the next level in the next 12 months. Click the link in the show notes to find out more. Okay, so what is the one thing you wish you'd known before embarking on the magazine journey?
I wish I'd known a little bit more about the publishing world. As
Okay.
general. I mean, we are an independent magazine. We're not a mainstream. We don't have all the backup and the investment that any mainstream magazine would have. We're still very independent. I guess I don't know. I guess I'll admit to have gone in there a bit naively. I think I was more driven by the excitement of sharing these stories and for people to have more visibility than the real understanding of what it would
Yeah.
take to build
But I
that.
don't know if you'd have done it if you'd have known what you're getting
Um,
yourself into. So I love, and do you know what, pros and cons? I've got some clients who are like massive planners. Like there is, people reach out to me like, do you have a business plan template? And I'm like, nope.
yeah,
I'm a business coach. We don't plan in that way.
yeah,
Some of my fastest growing clients, they just got started. They broke even on month 2. They made their investment back 6 months in.
yeah,
Others, the journey's always different. But yeah, so there's a space for everyone.
yeah,
But I see for you is I don't think you'd be where you are today if you'd overthought that first step.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But I think now that I'm 3 years in, it's probably now that I'm overthinking things. Um,
Yeah.
because I've seen very quickly the possibility of what the brand you
Mm-hmm.
can become. And
Yeah. Do you want to tell me about that? Are you willing on a public podcast?
yeah, I mean, there's nothing secret about it, but obviously, my first initial idea is I wanted to showcase brand. I wanted women to be celebrated, to be talked of, to be um, that was and that is still the drive. But then, 3 years in, I'm thinking, what the brand can offer goes beyond just being a magazine. I think the magazine will always be the heartbeat, the
Mm-hmm.
center point. Call it a magnet lead if you want of the business, but
Mm-hmm.
brand you can offer a lot more. So for the first 3 years, it was all about the magazine
Mm-hmm.
and about brand building and reputation building and credibility. Now I'm
Which
thinking,
you've done very beautifully.
which I think I've done well. I mean, a lot of people, everybody knows what brand you is now. Now it's about, okay, what else um, can I bring into the business to add more value, a value to the audience, but also value to the business because
Mm-hmm.
I want to sell it.
Yep. Okay, so that's the plan is to exit. You're
Yeah,
building this. Have you got a timeline in mind?
10 years.
Okay, so you got time.
Yeah, I'm going to be 50 next year.
Okay.
So, if I could sell it by the time I'm 60 and that's my retirement pot, I'll be quite happy.
Love it. Love
But
it.
it,
And I
yeah.
have to say, you look amazing for 50. Congratulations. I have aging goals now. I'm about a decade before you. And if I can look as good as you do in 10 years' time, I will be over the moon.
Thank you. No Botox involved, but it's but
I
there is
wasn't asking.
but no, thank you, thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
so yeah,
So
so the
how
idea is to bring in these different elements. So this year, I keep saying it's last year, but we're still in 2024. I introduced Showtime, our first
Yes, that looks
in-person event.
so. I had massive FOMO. I found
Yeah,
out about it the day before,
yeah, oh shame. Well, you have
but
to.
it looks awesome. Yeah, next year. Let
Yeah.
me know the date.
Yeah, so this is so my idea is every year introduce something new to the brand. So
Love
this year
it.
was the Showtime. My aim with that is for it to become the biggest brand and PR event in the UK.
Wow. Think
Where
big. I like it.
yeah,
And I have to say, I find it very sustainable the way that you're like, I'm going to introduce one thing per year.
yeah,
That feels very I'm that person that just throws everything at it and I burn out a couple
yeah.
of times a year.
It's too much. It's too much. There's too many things I want to do, but it's not feasible by
Yeah.
myself. So
Yeah.
Showtime took a lot of time,
Oh,
and
I
then
can imagine.
now I'm right in the middle of planning Showtime next year, version 2. There's even more pressure now because the
Hmm.
second version is more.
Yeah, you gotta increase on
Yeah,
that. And
you
I
got
know
to.
you will. I'm not worried for you. I think you've got
No.
this. So
Yeah.
can can you tell me, how do you celebrate success when you have a win,
Yeah.
however big or however little? What is your go-to mode of celebration?
Well, I mean, I always open a bottle of Prosecco.
Ooh, not champagne.
No, not
Compared to
champagne.
the French.
I'm just, yeah, I'm just happy with, I mean, champagne, why not? But I'm happy with a bottle of Prosecco when the
Love
magazine,
it. I
uh,
prefer, oh God, I was about to say, I'm going to say it. I prefer Prosecco, to be honest. Champagne, I think I just get a worse hangover.
oh, do you?
I do. I do. I don't know why,
I do
but I
like
like
champagne.
both. I mean, I'm not fussy. Any fizz, I'll take it.
Yeah, any feast, to be honest. It could sometimes be a really good bottle of wine, but that was my celebration when the magazine would go to print. I would,
Yes.
I'd always have a
Love
bit
it. Love
of
it.
sing and dance because it's a bit like a release as well when it goes to print.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When you send
Yeah.
it, yeah, when you send it to the readers, it's like you've spent 2 months working. It's like a little baby. You've spent 2 months
Mm.
on it.
And then you can breathe.
And then you can breathe, and then you can send it. It's like now, it's like sending your child off to the world. Like, go on and have your life now.
Oh, I love it.
And,
Now, listen, can you tell me about a time that you failed?
yeah, yes. And I'm sure there's the ones definitely, and then there's probably going to be a lot more. But I failed because I think it was last year or the year before, I tried to launch a program which didn't work. I don't think there was anything wrong with the program itself. I think I wasn't ready and didn't sell it properly, didn't
Okay.
advertise it properly. I
Yeah.
wasn't, maybe my heart wasn't in it
Yeah.
100%. So it was a fail, as in nobody took it, nobody joined, but it was all a great learning curve
Yeah.
because, like I said, the program itself was amazing and it still is, and maybe
Mm.
later on it can come back.
And I bet there's different ways of doing it. So you can take that same thing, and sometimes it's just headspace as well.
Yeah, and maybe I wasn't in the right space. I maybe I lack that confidence to sell a program like that.
Hmm.
I can sell a magazine, I can put on an event. These are my comfort zone.
Yeah.
So it was technically on paper a fail, but a great learning curve for me to know, okay,
Yes.
maybe the timing was right.
Mm. And I love that mindset that technically it was a fail, but honestly, it wasn't a fail because you're taking it forward. You can do it better in the future when the timing's right. Amazing. So, last question for you. If Olivia 20 years ago
Oh God.
knocked on the door,
Yeah.
how would she react? What would she be thinking?
I think she'd be quite impressed because what in the Olivia today,
Mm-hmm.
I think she'd be quite impressed, but I think she'll also probably give me a little kick up the arse um, because the Olivia 20 years ago had so much energy. And I still have a lot of energy, but a different type of energy.
Yeah.
I think she would um, ask herself less questions
Mm-hmm.
and
She's
would be,
less of an overthinker, more of an action taker.
yes. Whereas now I'm
Okay.
obviously the business is a different model than what I had 20 years ago.
Yeah.
There's more responsibilities and more expectations, and so she'll probably say to me, "Look, just stop overthinking and just go for it and follow
Love
your."
it. I love it. Are you going to take that?
Yeah, yeah, and I do remind myself every day.
Mm.
Stop overthinking.
And
Yeah.
also, what advice would you give to her? So, what advice would you love? Do you wish you'd had 20 years ago? Because it goes both ways.
I think I would say to her to be a little bit more business savvy. As in,
Nice.
I mean, I had my own business, but I was more of a freelance
Hmm.
photographer. I
Yeah.
didn't run a business.
Hmm.
Uh, and I think back then I had no need, but also not much interest in finding a bit more about it. I think, and be a bit more financial savvy, like educate yourself on the financial side of business. That's what
Yes.
I say, and so that you could be ready 20 years later on.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, Olivia, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. For our listeners who want to connect with you, where do you hang out? What's the best way to reach you? And it's all going to be in the show notes. So just a
Um,
snapshot.
yeah, I mean, obviously, Instagram is a great place to follow what's going on with Brand You, but
So
to
that's
have real
at Brand You.
At brand_u_magazine.
Love it. Brand_u_magazine. Thank you.
And then to have real conversations, obviously it's LinkedIn, which is my
Yeah.
profile. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And that's just,
Olivia Morocco.
yes. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks, Ruth. I hope that your listeners will get lots of interesting facts.
I think they will. So much gold in here. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening today. If you like what you hear, please hit subscribe and leave us a review. Even better, come connect with me, Ruth Ferreira, on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'd love to get to know you.